be talked about, and they'd continually say Arsenal have a soft centre. They lack that fight. And they said it for 10 years straight, but they would never say the manager. Another time, Turkish in the car, I go there, it's Ian Wright. I'm like, right, these men are calling me. This is mad. And I had to tell them, blood, you know, go on to me, fam. Kind of makes me think that it is Arteta's decision. And I understand why he hasn't been put in. So for footballing reasons, it doesn't make sense. Different cloth, man. He was a number 10 before number 10 was even a number 10. Do you get what I'm saying? We were looking at Bergkamp, and then number 10 came into play. Bergkamp was that. If I was Arsenal manager, I would go crazy.
We say you lose
it. My mind, mate. Don't dwell on it too much, you know. What can you do? What can you learn? How do you move forward? Just keep your mind occupied, man. Work on what you can with who you can.
Right, and we're live. Yes, welcome to another episode of the Coach Gerald Lami podcast. Today I'm joined by a special guest again, one of the strongest beard games in the YouTube scene, aka Turkish. Welcome, my brother.
I'm good, G. How are you? What are you saying?
I'm good, man. I mean, to be honest with you, bro, it's been a pleasure to get you on now. Like, seeing your content online and just everything that you've been doing. Obviously, we just spoke off air a little bit as well, like in terms of yourself and Deluded Guna. So big up Deluded. And it's just good to see, you know what I'm saying, some real genuine people, you know, talking about football, which we'll get into a little bit later on. So just before we start, shout out to yourself, keep doing your work, bro, and keep pushing, man.
Love G. Genuine is the key word there, man. I like that, because that means you know the real from the fake. You know?
For sure, bro. For sure, man. And that's what I wanted to touch base, man. Do you know what I mean? Because like you said, it's when you see someone on camera, you generally can see whether they're being real or whether they're being fake. But again, for me personally, it was a thing where, again, like we spoke off air about in terms of starting a podcast, you know, back in the days, doing things like this was not cool. Do you know what I mean? And for me, you know, I've been through my journey, through the ups and through the downs and everything like that. And for me, it's more so to give back. So if this is a way for the younger generation to kind of consume content and get certain gems from it, then so be it. Do you know what I mean? Because I remember growing up, I'm sure like yourself, you wanted to become a professional footballer or some sort of athlete. Do you know what I mean? Or in the limelight, but not everyone can get through that door. It's very, very tough. And as we've seen of recent, you know, a lot of these youngsters that are going through a lot of trouble and mental issues, it's like they feel like there's no way out. But for me personally, I feel like this is the time where there's so much possibilities that you can do anything. I know there's a lot of pressure that comes with it now, whereas like anything that happens now, instantly people can hear about it. Whereas back in the days, something will go around, but it will take a couple of weeks because it will go, do you know what I mean? Someone will say something. And even then, by the time it gets around, it's been remixed. Like, there's been a lot of things, do you know what I mean? So, but for me personally, again, like I said, in terms of like giving back and, you know, someone like yourself who, as a fan, who would have thought till this day that, you know, fans will have a platform? You know, you've built a platform. We've seen the likes of Troops go to the States. We've seen the success that Robbie's had, things like that. And obviously you've come through that sort of AFTV sort of realm, do you know what I mean? But without going too much into it, what's your take on this new era of consuming football, where people have their own platforms and give their opinions and, you know, just kind of share their voice? Like, what's your take on that? Because obviously you got a platform yourself.
Yeah, I do. There's a lot of pros and cons to it, you know. I think you alluded to a lot of the pros just there. You know, people like me and you, where we're from, there's a bit of a mental block with getting in front of a camera. Like you said, it's not cool. It's not it didn't feel normal for me. I'm not sure if you're the same. It sounds like you are, but it just didn't feel normal.
Yeah.
You know, it took a lot for me to even do my first interview with AFTV, and it was after a long flight. Well, not a long flight. It felt like a long flight back from Germany after the 5-1 Bayern Munich game, innit?
And definitely a long flight, boy.
Yeah, and I didn't do the interview outside the stadium because I had never done one before, and I wasn't really too interested. But on the plane, I could see that my opinion was very different to others. So I thought, you know what, why not? Why not just tell people what I think and see what happens? Because as much as I was a fan of AFTV, because fans having a voice is needed. In the 90s and 2000s, growing up, football, well, me and Arsenal felt a lot more like a community, a team.
Yeah.
We was one. But the commercial world has pulled that apart. It's stripped it down. And I think it was only going to get wider until that fan channel came in. I'm not sure if Robbie was the first, but if it was AFTV, then big up to them because they bridged that gap. You know, they tried to take football clubs away from the match-going fans and the fans that not really matter because every fan matters, but the fans that go to the games and create that atmosphere that we all miss right now, you know. Even if you're a fan that watches the games, you miss having fans in the stadium to create atmosphere because it's a very different watch on TV, even without fans. So we are very important season ticket holders and the people that not only spend money, but time. And time is money to go to games and travel up and down the country. You know, so I think the fan channel is needed and fans' opinions and voices are needed. I wish some of the bigger companies and corporations got with the times a bit more and helped push it along. I always thought 3-4 years ago that we would eventually see maybe a fan sat next to a pundit on Sky Sports talking about a game of their club, but it hasn't happened. I still hope that it will happen because as much as I'm a subscriber of Sky Sports and BT Sport and they provide football content, I care about Arsenal Football Club. I don't really care what Gary Neville thinks about Arsenal Football Club, I'll be honest. But Gary Neville is probably the best pundit out there. But he doesn't love Arsenal Football Club, you know? So why would I care too much? On Sky Sports, I probably look at Paul Merson the most, someone who played for the club and has some sort of emotional attachment. And I might listen to him more so than others because it might be coming from a better place, you know? Whereas everyone else, it's just, I don't take much from them. You know, on other teams, yes, but on Arsenal Football Club, where I believe so many problems have been going on over the years, not enough of these pundits have spoke about it. Lami, you know, under Arsene Wenger, for example, every Super Sunday, every Monday night football, we would be talked about and they'd continually say, Arsenal have a soft centre. They lack that fight. And they said it for 10 years straight, but they would never say the manager because they had respect for Wenger. And in my opinion, that was a conflict because that is the problem now. Because if you've been talking about something for the last 10 years, if you're not going to talk about Wenger or the board, then I don't want to listen to you no more because you're just going around and round the same subject matters without giving anyone the solution or what you think is a solution because you've got too much respect for Arsene Wenger. That's why I'm glad the fan channels came in with their voice because it bridged that gap and it allowed for fans to have more of a voice.
No, I totally agree with you, bro. And in terms of like your love for Arsenal and that's unquestionable. Like even sometimes when you get in front of camera and it's like you don't get ahead of yourself, you're like, I've seen this before. Do you know what I mean? I've been here for 10 years, well, longer than that, but for these last 10, 12, 15 years that whatever Arsenal has gone through that transition, like you've kept it real. And again, this is another reason why, you know, in terms of Robbie and like that platform where different people came on, it's like some people can gravitate more so to Turkish or Troops or DT or Thai. Do you know what I mean? Which is beautiful and everyone has their own opinions. But that day, just talk me through that day when you said, you know what? I'm getting in front of this camera, man. I've had enough now. Like, I'm going to express my opinion. Like, did you ever think it was going to get to a point where you'll be able to create your own platform now yourself?
It never got to that point. Like, to be honest, I know over the years, I've seen people see that opportunity now and go for it. Off the very first interview, you can see that's why they was there. But with me, it was just a case of frustration, anger. I was on the plane back from Munich, you know. It was a good day out in Munich until the match. You know? And then the match peaked, the flight back peaked. And on the flight back, I already knew Troops through mutuals, but I met a few of the other people on there. I'm a big fan of Lee Judges. That's probably the person I still watch, if any, on AFTV, because I tend to stand back from the YouTube scene. I do my videos, I listen to bits and bobs, but I don't want to take in too much because I just feel like everyone has their own opinions and there's too much now. If that makes sense. So as much as it was a good entry point and bridging the gap, there's too many opinions left, right, and center now, and it's caused a different problem to what we had before it. But yeah, I just feel like that flight, that result. When you look back now, it was the last time we was in Champions League.
Mad, innit?
Yeah, so if you watch that interview, I was in Luton Airport. I just done it outside Luton Airport. I gave my opinion. The next game, I believe it was Liverpool 3-1 in Anfield when Wenger dropped Sanchez, and after the game told us he doesn't need to tell us why he dropped Sanchez. Chelsea, we lost that month, and then I went to the Bayern Munich return at Emirates 5-1. So it was back to back to back. So as much as I didn't go on there to create the platform, I think the period I went on there, Bayern Munich thrashing, Liverpool, Chelsea, Bayern Munich thrashing, it was L after L after L after L, and it was still Wenger there. So a lot of people were still heavily invested into it, whether it's Arsenal fans or other fans, because a lot of other fans used it as, banter and memes.
Yeah.
I think that's what caught me and a wave. I think a lot of people gravitated towards my opinions. As much as I did say I wanted Wenger out, I always said that once Wenger goes, the true cracks will open. Wenger going is not the solution. He's just the guy protecting it all. When he goes, it's going to be 3, 4, 5 years until we get back, if that. So a lot of people gravitated towards that. And now it's coming into fruition that, it's like that roundabout analogy that I keep on going on about. Wenger sacked, Emery sacked, Arteta pressure. Are we going to become that club now that go round and round with managers? And in reality, none of them have the adequate resources to do what they need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that's what started off my wave. That run of results, that peak period, mad. And then obviously I've come in with a beard, a hat. I think it was something different. Those times it was something different. And I wasn't even called Turkish then. I had a handsome hustler hat.
Oh, yeah.
And them times Robbie used to call me with that handsome hustler in the middle of a whole 300 man. That guy's calling me handsome hustler, and everyone's looking at me like, yo, and I'm just there like, blood. I had to go to him and say, just call me Turkish. Just put it out. That's all, man. So that's where the transition came. And when the name came about, and obviously the look, I guess I made a logo off the look, and it ran with it, and it's done well for itself. I think it's only as good as the people make it. And I never thought I would, but I enjoy interacting with the people that I've met and have subscribed to me and have messaged me over the last few years. It's an eye opener.
For sure, man. Do you feel, again, because we spoke about it, like back in the days, growing up, like talking in general, let alone talking in front of a camera and to people, do you feel like now in a day and age where it's like us talking is sort of a therapy, and the content that we're giving out, people are actually saying, you know what, Turkish, I love your content, man. Like sometimes I might have a bad day or whatever, I sit down and watch your content and it kind of lifts up my spirit and things like that. Obviously that's welcoming news and things like that. But for yourself, do you feel speaking to others and interacting with others is kind of sort of like a therapy thing, or it's just like you just enjoy it sort of thing?
For me, I enjoy it, but I know exactly what you're saying, because I've seen others that use it as a therapy, as an outlet, as a a diversion from the norm. To me, it's a hobby. To me, I do it because people like it, and that makes me enjoy it. I like the fact that during lockdown, I only made one video, and that's stupid considering everyone's at home.
Yeah.
But when I came back, everyone's like, yeah, Turkish is back. When I brought out 3 videos in a week, everyone's like, yeah, the consistency's coming up. And I was just like, right, people actually care. Like I'm a guy from ends that, when you're from ends, you live in a bubble in a sense. I've gone university at that, but I come back to ends and you don't really see past the ends and you don't see past what's out there. That's why you don't want to be, I'd rather be the man behind the camera than the man in front of it. I've always been like that. But it hasn't worked out that way. So here I am with that, and I enjoy it. But I do see other people who need it and use it as therapy. Who need it because maybe they get something from it that they're not getting in the real world and in their own lives. I'm actually someone who's very content in life, happy, and I do my thing, and I've built what I've built for myself, and I'm happy. I'm not after anything in particular. Obviously, you want to grow and develop, but I'm happy. All of this, for me, I enjoy it, but I completely understand where you're coming from, because I see it from different people.
I love that though, bro, man. In terms of like genuine happiness, that's the main thing. And I think for me personally, I feel like happiness is a thing where it's like, it's a continuing journey. Do you know what I mean? For me personally, I could never say I'm happy because there's always going to be something that you're always going to be striving for, and you're going to go across things that might be like an obstacle. So it's always going to be a continuous road. You know what I mean? And for me personally, like again, like I said, seeing the journey where you've come from, like I remember the first time I clicked on a video to now where you are now. Again, it's a beautiful thing to see, and it's like what you're saying. It's more so a hobby for you, and once it's a hobby and it's genuine, people can relate to that. Do you know what I mean? And that's something that I'm a big advocate for, and always try and tell people, like, if you're doing it for the clout or if you're doing it for the fame and things like that, then forget it, because it's not going to happen for you. Do you know what I mean? And that was something that
it could, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah, you're right. And that was one of the reasons, like for me personally, when I first started this whole podcast thing, was more so to kind of just give back, do you know what I mean, and enjoy it. And it was during lockdown, I was thinking, nah, man, I got to keep busy, bro. I can't be sitting here doing nothing, do you know what I mean? And then, it just all kind of started from there. And again, for me personally, it has been in a way of sort of a therapy thing where I'm talking to people and kind of sharing my story. Whereas before, I'll never open up about my story. I remember the first time that I've opened up about my story online was chatting to Klopp when I'd done a kick it out thing. And when I spoke to Klopp, like, he was just like, wow, like, your story's deep. How old are you? And all these questions. And from there, it kind of made me feel a bit more comfortable to open up. It felt like, you know, that big rucksack behind you, you're just taking it off. And it's just genuine, do you know what I mean? But in terms of your stuff, like, how far, like, I know you're saying you're just doing it for a hobby, but how far do you want it to go? Is there a destination? Is there a goal for you?
Nah, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't a goal because I've never expected nothing from it. From the very first day I not joined, but I done my interview, till the very first day I opened my YouTube account. I didn't think I'd get 1,000. When I hit 1,000, I didn't think I'd get 5. I didn't think I'd get 10. Now I'm on 28. I don't think I'd get 50. Dope. That's just the way I am. And I think, like you said, that keeps you striving in a sense. And I think targets and goals are good and well, but they're also pressure. And I feel like because I'm doing it as a hobby and enjoyment, there's no need for me to add pressure. You know, if I hit 50K, cool, happy days. If I don't hit 50K, cool, happy days. You know, I am content with where I am, but at the same time, you know, it's good to work on it, you know, develop. You always have to do that up until the day you die. You know, you still learn, you grow, you learn new things. And I think there is no goal target, but obviously I'd love maybe one day to do it maybe professionally, or to do it as full-time job or hobby or whatever. I wouldn't even call it a job. I'd say a full-time hobby. But that's not the goal or target. I think the way I see the internet and the way I see ownership and stuff, I feel like, imagine one day I rely on YouTube and then YouTube servers go down.
Mad.
We've seen madder things in 2020 than YouTube servers going down. So one day, 2023, YouTube servers go down, corrupted, everything gone. Then what? You know, or Instagram or Twitter or whatever people are building stuff on. It's good, it's positive, and do your thing, but always have a backup. You know, always have a backup, whether that's a backup account, or if you're big on Twitter, build yourself up on Insta. If you're big on Insta, build yourself up on Twitter, vice versa for YouTube. You can't rely upon the internet, in my opinion. And if you do, then make sure you put your finger in enough pies to have plan Bs and Cs if plan A doesn't work out well.
Have you always had that mindset, or would you say you developed that during this lockdown?
What would you say the mindset is, as in, like,
in terms of, like, I hear what you're saying in terms of, like, the plan B sort of thing, because I'm a believer of that as well, whereas, like, you need to have some sort of backup plan, because I hear people saying, oh, don't have a plan B because it steers away from your plan A. I understand that. Like, be strong towards your plan, do you know what I mean? But if it doesn't work out, what are you going to do then? Do you know what I mean? So it's always in the back of your mind, that don't work out, then can I do that?
Yeah, but you know what? Funnily enough, I think it started in school. In school, I used to, like, I was a little hustler in school. I was circumcised late, so I was circumcised 9 years old. So
same, bro.
Quite late.
Yeah.
And going into secondary school, my mom and dad turned to me and said, "Do you want to have your circumcision party?" And you know, that's what we do. or do you want a brand new computer? You know, back then, a computer had just come out. You know, the tower blocks and the computer screen.
Yeah.
I was like, I want that. Forget the party. Give me that.
Of
I got that, and I started making CDs and selling CDs at school, albums. You know, the new albums. I was doing all of that, and then someone else came in and started doing the same thing. So I started printing out CD covers and putting it into the album cases, cover, the back cover, doing it all. So it was more or less the album you're buying, but just a fake version of it.
Yeah.
Then I moved on to bus passes, and then I moved on to
flashes.
Yeah, I moved on to designing.
Yeah.
When MySpace came about, I started designing. I was designing MySpaces for Chipmunk. I did one for Gigs, Roll Deep, Dirty Goods, Wiley, Gender from Essentials. I did a few grime artists back then, but as I moved into uni, I found as soon as they got signed, the label would deal with their designing. So I was just losing clientele left, right, and center because it's just as soon as they get signed, the label sorts it all out. So they don't need the external designer, which is fine. And I just dropped it out at uni and I concentrated on my business studies and whatnot. And then over the years, I try and keep my finger in a few pies. I've customized trainers in my past because I'm good with designing, painting, leather. I did all of that. That wasn't that much of a success. So I move on and I've tried different things. I've got a fashion network that I'm still a part of and co-owner of, that we're still working on building the site, but we've got 65K on Insta and we just need to find the direction. So I do kind of keep myself open to different things. 5 years ago, the fashion Instagram, 4 years ago, that was the main thing. All of a sudden, this comes about. So my plan A switched from that to this because you see more weight in this. I enjoy doing this. It's a bit more easier for me to talk about football. I've never spoke to you properly.
Yeah.
But I knew from what I've seen from you, your videos, I knew I could just log in 5 minutes before it'll be calm. I know what sort of background is calm. You know, so I like that.
Yeah, no, that's dope, man. And the only reason why I was saying in terms of like that mindset is like because we've seen a lot of the generation that we're in, obviously they want things very quick, they want things very fast, and it's like they've got no backup. And what you said, what I loved is like, again, that's the sort of mindset and the environment that we was brought up is like ownership. You gotta have ownership of things because like nothing's been given to you, do you know what I mean? And what you said there was powerful because if YouTube and all these other social networks say, you know what, we're done, we're closing, or whatever, they have some sort of malfunction that happens to them, what are you going to do then? A lot of people are going to crack. A lot of people are going to find themselves in a ditch. Do you know what I mean? It's like, have you prepared yourself for that? And my thing was more so, this 2020 that we're in at the moment, it's all a movie, but was anyone ever prepared for it? Not really. Not that I know. I was never prepared for this, boy. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think anyone was, but it's that mindset again that you're just like, you know what, I'm prepared for anything now. So I got to make sure I've got backup for everything as much as you can. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Down to that, I think I'm a firm believer and you learn from your negatives, not your positives.
For sure.
So even relationships that haven't worked out or business ventures that haven't worked out, yeah, it might have an effect short term after. I might be all right, gutted, or I might be like down that I've lost money. But a couple of weeks later, you think, what have I learned from that? And I've always been like that since. What have I learned from that relationship that I need to move on into the next one? What have I learned from that business venture that, and without learning, you don't develop. So not having negatives means, in my opinion, you haven't developed well enough as a human, because negatives, it can create a character.
Yeah.
Create a character, but it can also break a person, which is the thin line. It's a balance. If someone's too used to positives and all of a sudden gets a setback, that person might not know how to handle that setback and might go into a shell and within themselves and never recover. So anytime someone asks me questions like this, I just think of like, learn more from your negatives than positives. And even that, what was that song? I don't know how it's just come to my mind, but some was it a female band or dust yourself off and try again?
Oh yeah,
that was from a song.
That was Aaliyah, bro.
Yeah, that's it. But that quote itself, dust yourself off, try again. That's how I live. It might affect me in the first couple of weeks if shit hasn't worked out or I've taken an L. But it's like, am I going to cry for 20 years or am I going to turn it around now? You've got to turn it around as soon as possible.
No, for sure. Do you think that behavior can be learnt by an individual, or do you think the environment creates that?
Oh, that's a good one still. I think it can be learned, but you need the correct environment, you know? If you're around yes men, if you're around people that's going to wrap you in cotton wool, then I don't believe that's the right environment, because even if you take negatives, them sort of people are going to put their arm around your shoulder and console you and, you know, all of that. When in reality, I'm the sort of friend that people come to. If they want the realness, a lot of my friends will come to me, I'm blunt. Because
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tell you as it is. If I feel like you're doing something wrong, I'm going to be like, fam, you're an idiot. Or
Yeah.
like, fam, you mad, you know? That's the sort of person I am, because I just like to keep it 100.
And that's powerful, man. That's the main thing as well. But just on a quick one, because obviously, like I said, you got a platform as well. Do you see yourself as a role model for the young generation?
I've never, you know what? It's funny because I've never thought of it, you know, a role
Yeah.
model. It's people say it to me like when they see kids coming to ask me for pictures and stuff like that. I even tell them, I always tell people like, it's just like a knee-jerk reaction for me. Like I'm nobody. I'm just a fan like you. Like that's my first thing. Even when you said special guest, I was actually gonna come by. I'm not so special because that's just the knee-jerk in my head. I'm just me. I get what you're saying and I get the perception, you know. But me, I've never thought of a role model type. When I'm approached by kids and their parents and whatnot, I always try to give the kids good advice. You know, I always try and leave it with some sort of work ethic, education, or I ask them, do they play football? I try and give them some sort of motivation and advice. But in general, when I'm doing videos and stuff, I don't see myself as a role model. But it's an interesting one because I've never thought of it either.
I think you're definitely a role model in a beard game, bro. What you doing? What you doing to that beard? What you putting on, man?
Nah, this is the Turkish in me, fam. That's why I tell everyone. When you saw a beard, you need to be at least half Turkish.
I hear you, man.
Your
But
one's coming along well, bro. Come on, man. Some
bro,
man will kill for your one, so
you know
it's
what?
can't.
I had to trim my one down because mine was getting ridiculous, man. I think it's that Albanian in me as well. Do you know what I mean?
Lockdown now. No barbers. I haven't been able to do my thing for like 4 weeks now. It's a bit mad.
We saying don't put nothing on it though. No grease, nothing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
condition it. I put my oil in it. I'm using
Okay.
L'Oreal one now.
Sheesh.
Barbershop.
Okay.
Hang
Is,
on still.
is that one
So
alright?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I maintain it using all of that.
You got to come out with a Turkish beard balm, bro. That one's
I'm
coming
gonna
out
say that,
next.
you know. I'm gonna do it. You see my logo? I'm gonna use that as Saturday. I'm telling you.
You need to, bro. That's the hustle mentality, bro. You got to come out with that, man. Do you know what I mean? I tried something. I done my own little concoction like about 2 years ago, but it's like, yeah, it's techie with it. You got to get all the ingredients right, and it's a whole next world. But definitely, man, you got the
I've
platform.
dabbled in it. I started looking into it about 18 months ago, but you see
Okay.
me, again, fingering a lot of pies
Yeah.
can hold you back from the main pie sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to like, let's say you got 4 of them here, you're moving them all along slowly, but if you concentrate on this, it could go mad.
Yeah.
But you don't, I play it safe. And sometimes that safeness doesn't allow for the true, you know, growth. But I think you're right, fam. The ingredient stuff and all that, it's techie. So I need to be sure what I'm producing. I don't like to fool. Even when people give me garms to wear and that, you mentioned this in clothing talk.
Yeah.
So people message me and say, yo, pick what you want from the site. And I respectfully go back to a lot of them and say, there's nothing I like here, but keep me up to date with the drops, because I'm not going to take something and wear it
For the
because
sake of
you've
wearing
given
it.
me money, because you've given it to, like, I need to like it. You know, I'm not going to just project another image for money or for bombs. Like.
No, for sure. But again, that reflects on your genuine personality that you're showing on camera. So the way you are off life, I guess off camera, it will represent on a camera. Do you know what I mean? So it's straight away, it's genuine, man. But we'll get into the little nitty and gritty of things there. Arsenal, man. Where did the love come from, bro? Where did it all start for you?
Come from North London, first and foremost. And my love of football came from my uncles and watching Turkish league, you know.
Okay. Who's your team?
Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce, yeah? All right.
That was the first team, and international football Turkey was the first games I was watching, even being in North London.
1998, yeah? World Cup.
My granddad's a Tottenham fan, and he turned to me one day and said, Tottenham or Arsenal, you have to pick one. You're in North London, yeah, and I'll take you to a game. And I picked Arsenal. I just looked at the team and I thought, that's more of me than Tottenham are, even at that young age. And I think it's the diverse nature of it. I think it's the culture behind it, the community vibe, the red, Turkish red, Arsenal red. it just made sense. And then obviously Ian Wright and then Dennis Bergkamp over the next. It just made sense, and it grew from there. And my granddad took me to my first Arsenal game, and he's a Tottenham fan, but he just did it because he's not one of them fans that you get them fans that be like, you can't talk to a Tottenham fan. Mad people. Like my granddad's a Tottenham fan. I hate him. But my granddad took me to my first Arsenal game, and then one of my school friends had season tickets, and I used to go with him a lot. And then growing up, I had season ticket every year up until uni.
Okay.
And then uni time, I just dropped it out because I had to concentrate on studies. Came back to away games, and yeah, it's just grew and grew from there. But in all honesty, it's stagnated over the last 10 years because it's been frustrating.
I was gonna say, did you feel like you made the right decision, bro?
I do, man. I do because at least I've seen. You've seen it as well. We've seen great times. And that's all I can ask for. We didn't get the Champions League, and that is massive. That final, I could cry about it tonight if I watch it.
100%, bro.
But Invincibles, doubles, that United Arsenal rivalry, even though United won it more often, that rivalry, I don't think we'll ever see that again. That rivalry was like El Clasico, Messi, Ronaldo rivalry.
Yeah. 100%, man. It was mad. Like, I remember going to school. It was just a big thing. Boy, if your team loses on that Saturday between Arsenal United, you're getting it. It's different levels. Like, do you know what I mean? But obviously that's changed now, man. Like it's City, Liverpool there. But again, it's not the same. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same sort of rivalry like Vieira and Keane. Do you know what I mean? It's not the same no more, man. What was your first memory going to an Arsenal match? What was the most memorable part?
My very first memory.
Yeah.
My first memory was the first game.
Yeah.
Which is mad.
Who was that against?
Chelsea.
Okay.
So we won 3-1. Right, he scored 2. Kevin Campbell scored 1. And imagine both follow me now. I talk to both of them. That is mad to me.
How does that feel though? Like just being that guy that was your first game, and now you got both of them that you can have a conversation with.
Crazy because both times I met both of them. That's the first thing I told them. You scored in the first game I've ever went to. Like, it's mad that we're talking right now. Because the first time I saw Wright, he called me like, no, Kevin Campbell as well. I'm walking around the Emirates and I'm hearing Turkish. Blood, Kevin Campbell. Another time, Turkish in the car. I go there, it's Ian Wright. I'm like, right, these men are calling me. This is mad. And I had to tell them, blood, you know who you are to me, fam. My first game, you got scored, bro. You know? My memory wasn't even them scoring. My memory, because I was quite young then, so the scoring part of it was all like fun, celebration, the atmosphere. My first memory. And one thing I remember asking was, my granddad was like, why are they Rocastle played for Chelsea?
Yeah.
And I was asking my granddad, why are the Arsenal fans, cheering him off as well? Chanting his name because he was playing. Yeah. And then that was my first memory, and then I understood the history behind it, and then I looked, and then over the years I learned. So my first memory was seeing Rocastle coming off the pitch and for Chelsea, and it was just weird. It was a weird feeling because I thought we weren't meant to like them, but obviously he had history. Rest in peace. And that was definitely my first memory.
And so after that game, you just sold. I said, yeah, I'm in. I'm an Arsenal fan from that. That was it, man.
From there, it's easy because then, like you said, growing up in the 90s and 2000s, school was all Arsenal United. So once you picked your team, you've got your gang, let's say, you've got your people, and that's all you needed, No,
100%. And what's gone wrong now, bro? Like, we were talking about the good times and talking about, the greats that we've had. Like, what's gone? I know you touched on a little bit earlier. It's not really Wenger, and once he goes, it's going to be a whole next cycle. But like, talk to me. What? Like, for these past couple of years, it's just been a headache, more than a headache. Like, but for you, now that you've seen obviously the change with Wenger and everything, like, and of course I know the board, but like, what's next for us? Where do you see us going? And do you feel like we have got a place to go, or do you think we're just going to be that mid-table team again?
This season will probably be more mid-table than anything. Off of current circumstances, but we have got a place to go. There is a place to go. It's just,
where is it, bro? Where are we going?
Bro, in the next 2 years, where we're going has to be top 4.
Yeah,
that's the place to get to, and I mean consistently. I mean, if not this year, then the next 2 years in a row. And then we can talk about the next place to go to, which is a challenge for the title and so on. But there is places to go for us, you know.
Yeah.
And there's always been places to go.
Yeah.
Even under Wenger, when we were top 4 for how many years without doing anything, there was a place to go. But this ownership and board didn't show the support necessary to go those places. And as much as we change Wenger and change Emery, and now with Arteta, it's still the same people in charge of the process. A lot of people want to talk about a new process now, but it's not a new process. It's just a new man under the same process we had always been in, self-sustaining model. We spend within our means with an owner that never shows up and never really talks much. That hasn't changed, you know. And I know you said last couple of years, but even if I talk about the last couple of years, I have to talk about the real turning point for Arsenal when we really lost our identity was when Hillwood and David Dean came to blows behind the scenes. Hillwood obviously got rid of David Dean, or it became untenable for him to stay. And from there, it all broke apart. From first rejecting Kroenke because he came in with Dean, to 2 years later bringing in Kroenke because Dean's coming with Usmanov now. You know, it's all stuff that was tit for tat behind the scenes that led us down this path of Kroenke. I think if we went with Usmanov, we might be talking a whole different ball game here. We'd be talking maybe like a Chelsea and a Roman Abramovich owned club. You know, it'd be happy days. But Hillwood and his tit for tat with Dean chose Kroenke after rejecting him and getting rid of Dean because of it. And that led us down this path. You know, if that's the best way to wrap it up. You know, in a nutshell, that was the moment that it all changed. And since then, because we've got new owners, it's hard now.
Well, we've seen what Usmanov is doing with Everton at the moment. Like, and obviously, Everton being Everton, he's brought in, you know, Ancelotti. Well, not him personally, but the club brought in Ancelotti, James Rodriguez. Like, they've made these signings. Whereas, imagine if he was at Arsenal with the capacity that Arsenal have, stadium-wise, fan base. Like, it will be a different story. But like, in terms of Arteta, what's your assessment so far on him? Because obviously, like you said, there's only so much that he can do. He's only the face of it all. I don't think he's got power like that, to be honest with you, at the club. I think he's obviously got some sort of power, but you know, when it comes to bigger decisions, I think that's out of his depth. Like, what's your assessment so far on Arteta, and do you feel the pressure that he's getting already? Because I've seen some fans get onto him already, and for me, it's a bit unfair. I know he's young. He's going to make mistakes, and that's part of the game. He's a young man. This is his first ever job. Do you know what I mean? And I understand we're Arsenal. We shouldn't be having that sort of manager where they've never been in that position before. But for me personally, I feel like we're at that stage where, as a club, we're transitioning. We're bringing new managers, bringing new players. But for yourself, like, long question short, like, what's your assessment on Arteta so far?
More pros than cons. I think defensive organization and structure is something we haven't seen at the club for how long, Lam? You know as well as I do. It's been over a decade. So good organization and structure. You know, people knowing what they have to do defensively, and at least he's brought that in, and he's brought it in at the detriment of the attack. But I've said for years there's an imbalance in the side, and that kind of proves it. It's either an attacking side that can't defend, or it's a defensive side that can't attack.
Yeah, for sure.
Change personnel, you know, it's going to be difficult to change that. So for me, Arteta, playing wise, he's done what he has to do. He even came out recently when asked about the Arsenal way and whether he's sacrificing it. He said, "This ain't how I want to play. This is how I have to play," which indicates that this ain't him. So why ain't it him? We as fans need to look and read between the lines and say, what does he mean this ain't what he wants to be like? Because this is his first full season and he's already a year into the job. Oh, he means he didn't get the creative midfielder he wants. Whose fault is that? The same man it is every year. So with Arteta, the pressure is definitely not warranted right now. Questions, yes, understandable. He's a new man in a new role. Like you said, we can't really, you know, get down his neck too much, considering it is a development, it's a learning curve for him. But I just feel like fans are so frustrated with where we've gone, and the divisions that we talked about are so prevalent in the fan base that even if I agree with somebody else in the fan base, but that person doesn't like AFTV or doesn't like YouTube, me and him won't get along, not because of me, but because of them. And I've seen that far too often with big groups in the fan base and big names in the fan base. Oh, you're from AFTV. Don't want to hear from you. But in reality, we've just said the exact same thing, you know? So with Arteta, the pressure's going to rise. And in my opinion, he will get sacked. Maybe not in the next month, maybe not in the next 2, but the fan base is so mad at Arsenal right now. Yeah, they're so all over the place that I can already see that the pressure that should be going on the board right now is going on the manager, because the manager's there every week. If Kroenke was interviewed before a game every week and he was on the touchline every week with Arteta, a lot of the blame would then go to Kroenke. But because we as fans see Arteta as the face every week, we tend to blame him. And the fans that don't like to look at the bigger picture or are narrow-minded, they always see Arteta because they're not looking at anything else. You know, so it's easy to blame him. So questions, yes. Criticism, yes. But pressure, no. How can you put a manager under pressure now when the board put him under enough pressure as it is?
I agree with you, bro. Like, for me, I'm flabbergasted when people talk about get rid of him. Like, is he the man? And bro, he's a young manager. Like you said, that defensive side of the game, we haven't seen that in donkeys. Do you know what I mean? And he's actually installed that. Obviously, I understand in terms of attacking wise, we're not seeing the creativity as we used to. But then for me, it's like with any team, with any big team, the defensive side of the game is vital. You can't win a league without a good defense, or, you know, not concede a lot of goals. So you got to start from the foundation. That's like building up a house. Like, you got to start with a foundation first. Do you know what I mean? Before you build up. And we never do. Do you know what I mean?
Remember we bought Oscar Sanchez, top signings, top players, world-class players, but you're putting them on no base.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have
it's mad. It's mad. And that's that for me is like, we need to work on that and then go into that next stage. And for me, in terms of that creative player, like you said, I still feel that we've still got one of the best attacking midfielders in the world, bro. Like, I know he hasn't delivered as much as we expect him to deliver, but with the team that we have now, with the Parteys and even the defense that we've got at the moment, do you feel like Ozil can do a job for us? And if so, why do you feel like he's not playing? Do you think it's past Arteta? It's more so the club?
I can't say he can't do a job. He can, but I'm also not forgetting that he's been given chances over the last 2 years. He hasn't. I think the first managers to drop him, Wenger did, Emery did, and now Arteta has done. So he's had chances since and in between those to prove himself, and he hasn't. He's definitely not the worst player to be left out of the 25-man squad. He's obviously, he should be in there in terms of quality or even ability. But some of the things he's done behind the scenes, as a man who's managed people before in my working life, I know that I wouldn't have that from one of my staff. Someone trying to put pressure on you, someone, you know, not falling in line when he should be falling in line, kind of makes me think that it is Arteta's decision, and he has had enough of him. And I understand why he hasn't been put in. So for footballing reasons, it doesn't make sense. But it does if you take into consideration everything around Twitter and the PR and all of that stuff.
No, I agree with you, man. But it's crazy though, bro. When we need that creative player, we've got someone there. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's all the politics and that happens behind the scenes.
Slow, man. We're always 2 years too slow with these signings, you know. We needed Partey when Ozil was there. But we waited too long, you know. Now we need creativity when Partey's here. Let's see how long we wait for
that. No, for sure, man. And what's your expectation? What's a good season for you, for Arsenal?
Champions League football.
For this season, I mean.
Yeah, top 4 or Europa League win.
Yeah?
That's a good season. That's a good season. Anything else is typical.
But do you think we can do it?
My hope comes from the other teams around us, and looking at how inconsistent they've been, we can do it. But we also have to a hell of a lot to stand out from that inconsistent crowd.
Bro, I wish I had that. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I think once you, again, like you said, we're more so dependent on other teams. And once you have that sort of attitude.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's not going to work, man. But I hope so. I hope we get that top 4. It looks like a mad season, obviously, with the whole coronavirus. A lot of, I'm hearing that Salah might not be playing. So a lot of top players might not be playing throughout the season. So anything is possible, man. Definitely anything is possible. But before we wrap it up, bro, I want to do a quick fire round question with you. Yeah. First one. There's a last-minute penalty, to win the league. Who's taking it? Henry, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, or Ian Wright?
Henry,
yeah. Not Ainsley. He's calm with it, bro.
Yeah, he was calm with it that day, but Henry, ice cold. About boom all day, every day.
100%. Right, next one. Best Arsenal captain?
Tony Adams.
Yeah. Not Vieira for you?
No, Tony Adams.
No. All right. I won't argue with that one.
Vieira even needed Adams when he came in. Vieira talked about how much of an influence Adams was. Without Adams, potentially Vieira don't turn into the leader he was. I'm not saying he doesn't, but after Vieira, we didn't really have a captain, so he couldn't really mold the next one. But Adams did well in molding him and won titles in 3 different decades. He's the only captain to do that: 80s, 90s, and 2000.
Yeah, you can't argue with that, boy. Do you see anyone in that team that has that sort of leadership at the moment?
In this one now?
Yeah.
Like Adams. That's gone. Adams that's gone from the league, from the top side. Not just us, but Roy Keane and Adams. To me, those are the 2 greatest captains in the Premier League, Adams and Roy Keane. And you don't get nothing like them anymore.
What's your take on Roy Keane at the moment? Like he's a media persona. Like, do you kind of buy into it, or do you feel like he's just doing it for the cameras?
I've seen a lot of Roy Keane because I'm quarter Irish as well, so I've got a bit of love for Roy Keane. And even after he left United and he retired, and I've seen a lot of his interviews for Ireland when he was assistant and Martin O'Neill and whatnot. Roy Keane's like that. He's cheeky with it. It's just that now you give him the platform, and now you have other people around him who, when he is cheeky, they say something. He's bound to react. He used to do that as a player, and sometimes that's crazy things. But that's because he loves Man United and he actually cares for them. And when you do love and care, sometimes you are blinded, or sometimes you do say the wrong thing in hindsight. Roy Keane, that is his character. I think he's a cheeky, aggressive type of guy, and it's kind of the Irish have that about them,
100%, bro.
A bit cheeky.
No, 100%. I agree with you. Right, next one. Favorite Arsenal player of all time?
It's such a tough one, man.
It's a tough one still.
Dennis Bergkamp.
The Iceman, 100%, bro. That was my favorite as well. Why would you say Bergkamp?
Different cloth, man. He was a number 10 before number 10 was even a number 10. Do you get what I'm saying? We were looking at Bergkamp, and then number 10 came into play. Bergkamp was that. His touch, his pass, how he made up for a lack of pace, everything about him, everything apart from non-flying, everything else about him was
100%. Are you buying this whole? Sorry, go on, bro.
He partnered the Nelka and he partnered Henry.
Yeah, he did though. Yeah. Are you buying this whole Firmino's better than Bergkamp stuff? Because that's what I've been hearing lately.
This is why I stay off the internet. I never heard that before. I stay off the internet.
But I'm hearing the group chats like, Bob. This was when Bobby was doing his thing. Not now, because Bobby's a bit quiet. But the season where Bobby was just on fire. But no way. I was like, no way. Bobby better than Bergkamp. Impossible, bro. That don't exist in my world. That's a mad one.
He wouldn't even say that himself.
Nah, he wouldn't. No way. He would definitely not say that. Next one. Out of these 3, who would you start? Who would you bench? And who would you sell? Yeah. Aubameyang. I know now. Aubameyang, Bergkamp, or Vieira? Who would you?
You know.
So Bergkamp starting then.
Shit. No, Vieira starts.
Vieira starts, yeah? Bergkamp, what? He's getting dropped?
It's a Bergkamp bench and then so the only reason I say that is because we need, we got Partey now, but we've needed a Vieira for so long, and I mean lead, captain, all of that I think he would be particular one, but Bergkamp in terms of quality is a mazza. And right now in the creativity department, you can do it.
100%, 100%, bro. Right. Finish this sentence. If I was Arsenal manager, I would.
If I was Arsenal manager, I would go crazy.
You say you lose it.
Yeah, I lose my mind, mate. I'm telling you, because you're not getting you're not getting the support from fans. You're not getting the support from above. You're very much isolated in your own box to work out what to do.
No, I agree with you, boy. It's a tough job, and that's why I was surprised with Arteta for him to take that first job, because I didn't feel like he had a lot of full control in terms of coming in, and as your first job, you kind of need that sort. I know a lot of jobs are like they're becoming head coaches, and you know what I mean. They're not really becoming managers no more, but yeah, it's definitely a tough one, man. Right, last one, bro. Best lesson you've learned in the last 6 months.
Best lesson I've learned in this last 6 months is that I'm very happy in my own surroundings. I see a lot of people struggle with that over lockdown. A lot of people have gone mad because they've had to spend a bit of time alone. Whereas me, I'm a very much a people person, but I can also, you know, go in my own little bubble and make use of it in a positive manner.
How do you do that, bro?
It's that whole thing I talked about earlier. Don't dwell on it too much. You know, what can you do? What can you learn? How do you move forward? Yes, there's no shops open. Yes, movement is limited. But what can you do now? I can buy this microphone. I can buy a new camera. I can buy like attachments, lighting, for example. This all happened in lockdown because I thought, all right, well, I can't really do my thing out and about. Let me focus a bit more on what I'm doing inside. So over the past 6 months, I've had lighting, camera just come today. Mic came 2 weeks ago. I've got different things all around that over the next few weeks and months. I'm just going to put together and improve. Just keep your mind occupied, man. People like to, you know, don't take too much time on social media because that doesn't occupy your mind in the right way. That pollutes your mind a bit too much. Take a step back and work on what you can with who you can.
Dope, bro, man. We'll leave it on that note, man. Because, bro, pleasure having you on. Like, honestly, you know, just having a conversation, like you said earlier on, it was like we've never spoken before, but it was just genuine, normal chit chatter that I would just have with my boys. Do you know what I mean? And whoever's been listening, like, I'm sure there's a lot of gems that you've dropped. Well, definitely for myself, anyway. Just the way you was thinking and the things that you just expressed. And obviously I could talk about football all day long and football and just, again, the different avenues that people can be around. Look at what you said. You went to the first game, Kevin Campbell, Ian Wright bagged. And now, because of the platform and because of what you're doing away from, you know, the actual playing side of things, like, I don't know, I didn't even ask you, like, I don't know, was your passion ever like to play football, to become a professional footballer?
Yeah, it was, man. It was. I had tried for Leyton Orient when I was young. Southampton were interested, but I wasn't interested in moving. This was when I was like 14, 15 years, 13, 14 years old, actually. And since then, just Sunday leagues, 7 aside, 5 aside. I had a knee injury and surgery 2 years ago, which has limited that. I'm moving into coaching and stuff like that.
Okay, dope, man. Are we going to see a YouTube team? Turkish.
Yeah, I've got one still.
Oh, you got one, yeah?
The UK League, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna check that out, man. 100%. But there you go. Like, there's different avenues. Again, the whole purpose of the podcast is to show these youngsters there's different avenues that you can get involved with. It doesn't have to be just playing. I know the buzz of playing is different to, you know, being away from the actual game, but you can still be part of it. Whether it's like even being a chef, you can go and work in a club and be a chef and be around these players and still have that sort of environment. Do you know what I mean? Like, you see
network. That's it.
Network, 100%, man. So, bro, again, much love, man. Thank you for like spending your time as well and giving up your time. I wish you the best of luck, bro. And hopefully we'll touch base soon once I touch over there, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No worries, G. Come on, shout me anytime. Message me anytime, man. No
100%, 100%. And, bro, I need to get used to this as well. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff. See, all of this is all new, bro. Do you know what I mean? But
I had
yeah,
to
man.
write it down on paper first few times. So when I look down, I remember. I'm like, yeah, like and share and do all of that.
I need to have it on my screen, all of that. But
Post-it notes. We post-it notes and put them about. So
yeah,
it's
so yeah. See, there you go. I love that, man. But I appreciate it, man, bro. Again, much love, and we'll definitely touch base, and we'll leave obviously all the social handlings below in this description and everything like that. But yeah, bro, much love, man.
love, bro. Take care, man.